The whole Liam Kumar Day effect, not really happening.
Nigel couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I rang up Mendenhall, he said he could make
Don't dig this hole. Phil, credit to the guy, he always manages to do well what he has, but he is a shocking personality. You guys got a trophy? No.
It was pre-event.
My life from Rashad Mendenhall.
Right, here we go. Cancel. I'm a tag, Jack! I'm a fucking tag!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the LOC Report. I am back again with the co-host himself, Chris. How's it going, Chris?
All going well today. You say it's Friday. You know what day that is?
Absolutely.
It's podcast day.
It is podcast day, and we also have the final of the London games this weekend, of which, of course, Chris, you are coming.
I am.
Yeah.
I am thrilled to be going, to be quite honest.
Getting to see your very own Titans, yeah.
Indeed, it's been a long 5 years, you know. So I always vowed to say that I was going to save up, save my money, go and see when the Titans come back. Well, here they are this weekend.
Here they are. The money is spent, and we will be seeing them on Sunday as well. My dad, obviously, and Becky's coming too, and then one of my colleagues and his missus from Northern Ireland as well. So it's going to be a good crowd. We thought we could have live streamed the pod from there, right? But stadium internet connection not the best, so probably thought better to give you the normal episode. Without further ado, we're obviously heading into the middle of October now. We'll take a look back at what happened in week 5, and then obviously later in the show we'll preview what happened in week 6. So let's get into the recaps then. So last week, we had a bit of a better few weeks, obviously injury wise, but there were a fair amount of injuries last week. None of them were necessarily too severe, but we had a fair amount of injuries come back, but other than that, it was a generally good week. I think it was obviously another not in the division week. So we'll start off with the marquee matchup straight away, which was UR Gold against Ixan. UR Gold was obviously the last remaining undefeated team. We picked this one, or I picked this one, partly because of that, because also this was a bit of a cornered animal game for Ben. 1-3, not typically a place you see Ixan operate. I'm pleased to say the king is dead. Long may he remain dead.
Indeed.
Because no longer undefeated, UR Gold drops this one 104-88. The undefeated season the attempt at the undefeated season is over. But joking aside, Coach Gardner obviously still had a solid day. He obviously lost James Conner on the day as well, which maybe it would have been a bit of a stretch, but could have potentially been the difference in the game. You never know. He still had a decent week despite that. We kind of criticised the Sam Laporta pick quite heavily last week. However, to our defence, we didn't know that Amon Ross St. Brown was not going to play.
That is true.
At that point, had we known that, we probably would have said, you know what, fair enough. So he did come through for him. It was a great pick. Benching Fields did cost him somewhat in this one.
It didn't just cost him somewhat; it cost him the game. I mean, that was the suicide move here. Otherwise, the king would have very much been alive.
Yes.
But you have to have a bit of perspective, and Ben's 30 points from the Saints D there. Against New England, who do seem to be beaten up on
in New
D-scores.
England as well.
Yeah,
not only against New England, in New England, which
galling.
Is
galling.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. That
was the difference in this game. So if it was just a normal defensive score, then it's a really close game. But 30 points, we've got this general rule here on the pod where it's if you have 2 quarterback scores, generally speaking, you don't lose the week.
Yeah, that's
and that's come true again. So yes, half the points there of Ben's entire week put up by his defense and his quarterback.
Absolutely, yeah. And the zombie squad picks up an important win because without Aaron Jones again, who seemingly suffered a setback. Obviously had some buys there as well, so nice win for Ben, and obviously that keeps him very much alive in the race. You go to 1-4 and it's a bit of an uphill battle, but 2-3 keeps you very much still in the mix. Credit to Ben as well, because the depth has really kind of kept him alive during this. But Jacoby Myers was a solid draft pick. I don't think probably a player anyone was really in on at all, or a free agent pickup. I can't even remember. I think he drafted him, I'm not sure. And then Jaleel McLaughlin as well was a guy he got for $7, I think, a couple of weeks ago. And again, it's a guy that you're like, really, is he going to do anything? But actually, he came through here for Ben as well, and it was instrumental in the win. So credit to Ben there. We also had opposite picks in this one. I picked Ixan, so I got it right. But you start off the week with a loss in the picking because you picked UR Gold.
Well, so I mean, What about a freak defensive score? I'd have been there, man. But so much for that.
The next game then was Detonators against Pakistan, and again this was the other undefeated team in Detonators, and they dropped this one as well. And they didn't only drop this one; they ran into a buzzsaw.
Oh, it's a buzzsaw.
They ran into a buzzsaw.
R.I.P. all headphone users there.
You didn't see that one coming. Yes. Right. You know it's coming now. Pakistan takes this one 123-72. Not only a good score by Pat, but Ollie actually lost to just Jared Goff and DJ Moore. So,
well, that's just two dudes. That's it. That's hard.
That's
They
did score a lot, to be fair.
They did. I mean, again, DJ Moore scored a double quarterback score, which again, there you go. So more of the glossary of the terminology on here. That's a quarterback score is 20 points. A double quarterback score is 40 plus.
There you go. Yep.
And then Jared Goff, obviously a very good quarterback score. So yeah, that's pretty good. Rest of the team, however, not quite so clever. I mean, it's okay, but
he did lose Jefferson in this one, which we need to point out as well, to a hamstring injury, which is going to be big for any team. I think if any team could possibly withstand it, it's probably Pat's though, because he's been a pretty good measure. He's got a fair amount of depth there as well.
Absolutely.
Zach Moss as well. We definitely can't criticise Pat for not playing him with obviously a good run defense, and B, Jonathan Taylor obviously returning. And then for Ollie, really, 72 it doesn't look great, but really it was just a day to forget. Obviously Hurts had an okay day. The main plays just didn't really turn up there either, to be fair, and obviously a fairly low kicker and D score. Better days will be ahead, but we maybe are seeing that the injuries taking their toll on this team with the lack of depth. That's bad days ahead. That's what I'm going to say. We both picked Pat in this one as well, so we both pick up the win in terms of the pick there. So we'll go on to the next game, which was bucking the trend against Great Scott. And obviously Mike was still searching for his first win of the season. He does not get it here. He lost this one 122-91 to Jeff Scott. And I did lock up. But Mike in this one, I thought it was going to be the week. I really did. I thought it was the week before that Ollie was going to lose his first game. But no, Mike's still searching for that first win at 0-5 now. But to be fair to Mike, he's still so exceedingly unlucky to not have his first win. 91 points is a solid score. Would have beaten a fair number of teams across the league last week as well. And not everything was clicking again, so the win I'm sure will come at some point. He's obviously getting Barkley back at some point there as well. Tua could have had a bigger day if not for some picks. They were winning, playing quite comfortably against the Giants, but for whatever reason they never really pulled away too much, and there was some weird plays in there as well that kind of conspired to not help that. For Jeff, he continues to be Jekyll and Hyde. One week he's down in the 60s, the next week he's up in the 122s, all over the place.
Absolutely.
Jamar Chase obviously had a solid day for the first, really, a game you could see Jamar Chase having, obviously, in this one. And then he benefited for at least 1 week of the deal over Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane, which we obviously spoke about in the preview last week.
So, I mean, and that's what you want to see is that, that tandem is equated to 34 points. If you divide that by 2, that's some really good scoring. So I know that Achane's just gone on onto IR, but Mostert should still be a beast. And that's what he's played there is absolutely not what all he's got. So obviously with Amon Ra down there as well. So Mike's been unlucky though. I think we'll come to it in the standings and stats later. It's just how historically high he's scored against is. It's crazy.
Sure. Yeah, we might have to do one of those deep dives and come the end of the season see where they compare. Next game then we had Gridiron Gang against the Dream Team. Dream Team were looking to keep up in the Pulse division, and with the Badernets lost, Gridiron Gang had an opportunity to take the lead in the Winchester division, but they did not capitalise on that as they lost. It was probably one of the games of the week in the LOC last week. 122 to 112 to the Dream Team. You do love to see it, but you don't love to see the lock bloke. We both whiff on the lock this week, and I picked Viv to win, and it was kind of not necessarily exactly how I thought it would come up, but the problems I saw being able to lead to me losing this game. What happened? Travis Etienne and Breece Hall having a blow-up week. Some of the flashy players having a good score. Obviously, Tyreek had a good week as well. Niners D had a nice day. I didn't see that. I was more annoyed that actually Jordan Love had a terrible day. Because if I got absolutely blasted for like 140 or something, I'd be like, yeah, you know what, fair enough. The fact he only got 5 points and I lost by 10, bit more annoying.
Yeah.
Bit more annoying. You know what else is annoying? Watching Travis Etienne go for 3 touchdowns in front of your very eyes.
Oh yes, that's it. How can you like that? You want to be there for the spectacle, but yeah, you know when you're getting battered.
The worst. I mean, half of Buffalo's defense literally died to facilitate that day for it. If you watch that game, it was ridiculous. The players even said after the game it was like playing on concrete. Because obviously players hate turf nowadays, but yeah. So and the most egregious one, and it was actually the play that probably won the game effectively for Viv. It was late in the fourth quarter. The Jags were winning by I think at least a score, and they had it on about the 40-yard line. It was like 3rd down or something, 3rd and long. You know, clear. Just they're running the ball out. They're just trying to bleed the clock and end the game. And somehow he burst through for like a 40-yard touchdown. And you're like, I know you've had injuries. But how does that happen?
Yeah,
how does that happen? Etienne's a good player, don't get me wrong, but it was just ridiculous. But yeah, no, credit to Viv. He's going to have these blow-up days. I do get the sense with Viv's team, though, he very much did capitalise on those good matchups for Hall and obviously Etienne having the blow-up day.
For sure.
You strip that away, and obviously you look there, it's not necessarily quite pretty. Gabe Davis obviously had a nice day on the bench.
Justice for Gabe Davis.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned I was quite surprised they didn't play him as well. So, yeah, and going forward, basically just start all your plays against Buffalo because their defense is going to be trash now. So, and they've obviously still got a pretty good offense on the other side.
Yeah.
And on my team, nothing really too much to comment on. My team rolls on. Obviously, a good week still, despite the loss. Tank Dell's concussion again could have potentially been the difference in this one, being it was only a difference of about 11-10 points or so. But
a touchdown or two. But overall, still you can't grumble 111 point week. And more points towards the points forward, which I think is going to be even more important this year than any time before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, lots of teams vying for the playoff spots at the moment as the division leaders are somewhat ahead, or there's quite a drop off as well. So, next game then it was Forge Flyers against Jamal Fixit as of last week. This was a Founder Bowl. We both picked Forge Flyers to win this one, as obviously Ross's team was winless entering this one. You fresh off coming off your first win, but again, like Mike, you've been a bit unfortunate. It was one of these games. It was one of these games, Chris. It's Ross somehow won this game 62 to 58.
That is the sound effects of the week.
There you go. It was. Yeah, we're gonna keep the music going here because when you win 62 to 58, you get the music. Scumbag win of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Completely authored by Anthony Richardson getting injured.
Totally.
That's the sole reason you lost this game. I'll say again. I said it before. He'd be really good if he could play a full game.
He'd be great.
He'd be really good.
He did. He was great last week on my bench.
And it did cost you your team didn't have a great week beyond this, but I mean, completely, if you had Kirk Cousins and you win this game to a counter as well. So, unfortunate there. You'll have better days, and obviously when your quarterback plays a full game, it'll be fine. Ross also has a QB problem emerging with the Sean Watson's weird shoulder thing he was on by last week, and obviously Dak Prescott, as we know, is not an answer.
He sucks.
It's Ross's team, definitely not a team that can be dealing with the QB problem with where they are, but they did get Jonathan Taylor back. He didn't do much in this one, but obviously could be better going forward. On the bench, obviously we'll get T. Higgins back at some point as well. Can we just say as well, lol, George Kittle on the bench.
George Kittle,
I think he was in the lineup until he took Taylor off of reserve and put him in the lineup. And you don't see it here, but I think Ross also dropped Dallas Goedert to facilitate taking Taylor off.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. So it's a double lols in terms of that one. But hey, a win is a win. Ross does pick up his first win of the season. And then on to the last game of the week. It was Bare Necessities against Tom's Tyrants. Yeah, no sound effect for this one, but this was an absolute... Oh, sorry, I skipped over the pick. Yeah, we both picked your team with that one. I skipped... this was an absolute nail-biter between Bare Necessities and Tom's Tyrants. Bare Necessities obviously fresh off taking standalone lead of the Portsmouth division, but they lose again by 0.14 points, 75.68 to 75.54 against Tom Sarrans.
Closest of the season so far. Probably the closest we're going to have this season.
I would say so. They certainly don't get much closer than this. We both picked bare necessities as well, so it came down that close. And even more dramatic, you can see in terms of the chart there if you're watching on YouTube. But it was a Sunday night comeback attempt from my dad's team with Deebo Samuel, who got 8.5 points. Had he got 2 more yards, he would have won this game.
If only. I'm not going to blame Deebo. I'm going to blame Lamar Jackson.
Oh, that was the next point. Yeah. More specifically, blame his receivers because he was fine.
Yeah.
The Bateman touchdown drop was just hilarious.
Well,
it was just...
again, say just 2 more rushing yards. Just what he needs to do.
Or don't fumble it.
Or don't do that. Yeah. There you are. But yeah, it's clear that Nakua can live in that offense as well.
Yeah. Everyone was kind of said it looks like the Rams team's world where they can support multiple receivers. Even Tutu Atwell, who famously got a touchdown and missed on another deep touchdown. And going to the other side, Tom's going to be thrilled to have Cooper Kupp back because he could have very well been the difference in this game, depending who Tom would have chosen had he not had Cooper Kupp. Obviously, Pickens would have made it a bit more of a wider game. But yeah, it's that could help really kickstart Tom's season there. Burrow obviously had a much better day than he has done for much of the season as well, and that's certainly helped. And Adam Thielen has been a sneaky good pick, which I don't think anyone really would have seen coming. Despite with how bad the Panthers have been as well, Thielen's actually been pretty good. So there you go. That's all the recaps for last week. So in terms of the pick'em, I think it was a pretty dreadful week. I think I went 3-3. I'm pretty sure you went 1-5.
I probably did. That was grim.
It was grim. So all time I'm 83-58, and in the season I'm 19-11. You are 67-46 all time, Chris. 15-15 on the season. So you're at 500 right now.
Yeah.
Pick'em wise, I'm 12-12 all time and 2-3 in the season now. So I fall back on all time. You are 10-6 and 2-2 on the season. So it's been a pretty mixed start, not a great start.
No, it's been all over the place.
Yeah. Going to the around the league section, the fun little stats the website throws out. So Ross's team and the Dream Team both won last week, despite neither having a top 15 scoring quarterback. You are gold as being their weekly score projection every week this season. There you go. And I've beaten my weekly score projection in this every game as well. So according to the website, Pat Stan has now beaten their projected score 4 weeks in a row. So far this season, teams that have only won a third of the time when starting the league's top scoring quarterback of the week. 1 and 2 overall. Quite surprising. Justin Fields, was the highest bench score, and it was the second highest individual amount in the league in terms of player scoring, and obviously cost him the win there. Teams are 2-8, 20% win rate when they fail to throw a passing touchdown. I suppose that one makes sense. And Great Scott beat their projection by a higher margin than anyone else in the league this week, picking up a score of 1-2-2 against a projection of 78.
That's huge. There you go. Don't believe the projections.
No, indeed. So we will mosey on now then to the league news. I mentioned it in the recap, it was a bit of an injury-beleaguered week, so we already touched on Andy Richardson for your team. He's got a shoulder injury. I think it's an AC joint injury, specifically a grade 3 one, but placed on IR already. He's going to be out for at least, I think it's 3 or 4 weeks, but could potentially be longer. It was quite severe. Looked like a broken collarbone when he went down.
It didn't look great. He was holding that shoulder and arm as he was walking off the field. So, yeah, not good. And I think that might stunt all things to do with the Colts, unfortunately.
Good. Oh, God, that's looked okay. He went into Baltimore and got the win there.
It was okay. Yeah. I think it was more to do with Baltimore just, shit the bed. But.
Being Baltimore, true. Deshaun Watson also has a shoulder problem. We didn't really talk about this one because it sounded like a one-week thing, but now it's developed through the bye, and he's not playing this week either, so not really sure what's going on with Deshaun Watson because he's been medically cleared.
It's a problem there, so I think they've realised they paid a lot of money for someone that's
fraud.
Yeah, unfortunately.
James Conner, he injured his knee. He's on IR again. Could just be a shortish stint, but he'll miss some time for your goal. Justin Jefferson, as we said as well, hamstring injury. He's been placed on IR. Again, unclear how long he will be out. It doesn't sound like they're going to rush him back, and you kind of worry with players like that. Obviously, if it turns into a losing season, is there any point in bringing players back at all?
Well, yeah. quite.
Yeah, could be big for Pat. Khalil Herbert, he suffered a high ankle sprain. I don't think he's gone on to IR yet, but he's looking at probably a multi-week absence. That's typically what happens with those injuries for Great Scott and Devon Achan. He's also suffered a knee injury, and he has gone on to IR, but obviously Jeff has Raheem Mostert, and we'll see in a second what else happened with the transactions. It was a busy week transaction-wise, and people made it rain this week. Obviously lots of waiver money sloshing around, and people elected to use it, starting off with bucking the trend, who added KJ Osborne, who obviously stands to seemingly benefit from the Justin Jefferson injury. He dropped Matt Breida and spent $40,
Huge.
which I'm pretty sure is the highest.
I think so.
The spendiest play this year. Right. So congrats to you, KJ Osborne.
Yeah. Are you going to be well loved in that team?
Yeah. What do you make of that move? Do you how do you see
I think that it's Mike's got to be clutching at straws at this point. What his record is.
Yeah.
You have to try something. You got the waiver money. It's effectively the 40 sounds a lot, but it's effectively 20 with all the stuff that he's been given.
Yeah.
So I think that that's definitely got a hallmark of a decent pickup. I can't believe that he's not going to be targeted in that offense.
Yeah, he'll get some targets. Yeah, obviously he's not going to slide in and replace Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison probably would be the main beneficiary. Yeah. But yeah, as you say, he should have some value. Next, obviously with the James Conner injury, obviously where there's a lot of injuries, it does make sense. There's a lot of waiver moves. Tom's Torrance added Amari DeMarcado for Jerick McKinnon and spent $11 in the process. And I've added this one on as well. Gridiron Gang, that has added Keontae Ingram. What do you make of those moves, Chris?
Oh, who knows?
Exactly.
Who well knows, and who knows if they're going to be even functional.
Yeah.
So you take an $11 waiver move. I got no problem with that. Even more so for yours because you've taken a free agent hit. Like it's a dart throw at this point.
Yeah.
Are the Cardinals just going to implode because they're arguably their most reliable offensive weapon going down? Could just derail them.
Yeah, could do. Yeah, James Conner had been pretty good, so if either of them can obviously be competent, could help. But as you say, if not, it could be curtains for the entire team potentially. We talked about the Devon Achan injury for Great Scott, and obviously he's got Raheem Mostert as well. Well, in for a penny, in for a pound, he's got the trifecta. He's added Jeff Wilson for $22, dropping Khalif Raymond as well. I can't remember if we mentioned last week or I talked about someone. I really didn't see a role for Jeff Wilson once he came back from injury because they love speed. That's what the Miami ones basically is. Mostert and Achan have that. Wilson is not that. But with the Achan injury, they're probably not going to fully unleash Mostert. Enter Jeff Wilson. Jeff gets him, so he's got a couple of.
Well, that's right. It's crazy. And again, can run them as a tandem again because they're both going to perform. Surely.
Yeah, you would think so. He'll at least,
offense.
It's still going to be a committee of sorts. They're not going to fully load up Raheem Mostert. So, yep. And the Dream Team, they added Roschon Johnson for Jordan Love for $20. So again, that's with the Khalil Herbert injury. I obviously had him, but I dropped him last week to pick up. I can't remember who, Michael Wilson, I think. $20 on that one. He himself has got a concussion from the game, but it was the Thursday night game last week, so he could potentially get cleared this week. What do you make of this move? It's quite speculative.
That's it, to say the least. To say the least. I think my reaction says it all there, unfortunately.
Yeah. The problem is it's a Bears running back. I was like, do I really want to try and get this guy back? Bears running back. Could have the gig for a bit, even if he gets the full gig. How much is that worth?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a tricky one.
It's
a lot of money as well to spend for that. Because considering you spent more than it was just short of Jeff Wilson, but I'd have rather had Jeff Wilson for $22. I think than Roschon for
100%.
And then also, not stopping there, Great Scott added Donta Foreman for Miles Sanders, also spending $22 on this one. This one's an even more tricky one because. Presumably, Donta Foreman has been inactive for every game this year, I think, maybe except week 1. But obviously with the injury opens the door, it could maybe just be a 1-week thing, obviously, if Roschon isn't able to get back. But depending how long Khalil Herbert's out, they could maybe split work. I struggle to see a scenario where he's going to be worth $22.
I agree. It's a lot of money for, a speculative ad, but I don't think anybody else would have been really interested in it, to be honest.
No, and actually, I don't know. Yeah, I'll bring up the waiver report just while we're looking at the last one. I don't think I had a claim in on Foreman, so I don't think I'll be able to see what the bidding was, but I'll be able to tell you what the bidding was for the other players while I do that. The next one I have here, and the last one I've got here is You Are Gold. Fresh after spending $20 last week, as we talked about in CJ Stroud, and saying we like that move. Well, he said to heck with that. I'm adding Brock Purdy for a free agent. To which Pat says, I'll have some of that and spend $5 to get CJ Stroud. What do you make of all that, Chris?
Just play Justin Fields. I think that at this point, it's the two games back to back tell you that he's in a little bit of form. They're finding his best form, and from a fantasy perspective, he's absolutely electric, even if the offense isn't. So just stop the roulette. Play Justin Fields.
Yeah,
plug him in.
Yeah,
and enjoy.
I had Cam Newton, I think it was in the 2011 season, and he was exactly what Fields is like now. He'd either be terrible one week or he'd be amazing one week. You just kind of have to ride him, because when they hit, it makes it all worth it.
Absolutely.
The bad weeks, they might sink you, but you can overcome a bad week. When they hit, you've pretty much got a win.
Yeah.
So, no, you're not wrong. In terms of the bidding then, so I can tell you a few. So Jeff Wilson, he obviously went for $22 overall. Bedenes bid 10 and Pat Stan bid 16. I just had a zero bid on him. I wasn't really too in on him. What else did we have? Roshan Johnson. So yeah, Viv won that with 20. Pat had a zero bid, as did I. Ben Assestis bid 6 and Bedenes bid 11. So that tells you what everyone thought about that one. KG Osborne, obviously, Mike won that one with 40. Was a bit of an overspend. The next highest was 10. Bedenes. I had a zero bid on that one. I wasn't too on him. And Tom Starnes had 6. And then Emmy DeMarcado, obviously Tom won that one with 11. Ben bid 3. Ollie bid 10. So again, 2 weeks in a row we've had a case of that we know of anyway, the right number being 1 plus that, and it going through for Tom. So good GMing by Tom there, and Ben bid 3 as well. So there you go. In terms of standing stats and milestones, we have some milestones to speak to you about this week, because you and Ollie, Chris, Ollie Bedettes, have entered the 100 Career Loss Club.
Yes, we've joined you
and Tom.
There you go. It's an illustrious crowd.
It is.
Not going to lie, 3 figures.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's taken a lot of effort to get there.
Yeah, quite a while. Longer than me and Tom.
Thankfully, we are still above 500 records. Just.
Yeah, that's more than I can say. So we'll go to the other standings. So Southampton Division, Pat Stan retakes the lead here, because with the UR Gold loss and the Pat Stan win, no undefeated teams anymore. But Pat takes it on points, both 4 and 1. Tom's Tyrants trying to keep themselves in it at 2 and 3. They get a win, but you fall to the bottom here, Chris, at 1 and 4 with your unfortunate loss. Portsmouth Division, Dream Team regains control of the Portsmouth Division on points, though with the benefits they lost both to 3 and 2. But great Scott out of nowhere as well, obviously winning 3 and 2, sneakily keeping up, and even Ixam with the win last week as well. They're at 2 and 3, so it's a hotly contested race in the Portsmouth Division at the moment. And then Winchester Division, Belene is still 4 and 1 despite losing their first game of the season. Gridang obviously couldn't capitalise with a win, which would have seen them go top, because they still sit at 3 and 2. Ross gets his first win, now 1 and 4, and then the league's only remaining team without a win or a loss on either side of the column is bucking the trend, who's still yet to have a win. Jeez. So there you go. Looking in terms of points, so in terms of points forward, I am at the top still with 562. There are 2 other teams over 500 points, being the Dream Team at 523, and then Pat Stan, who just nudge over 500 there. Looking to the bottom of the table, Ross's team is the lowest scoring at the moment with 400. Tom Siren's 413, you with 423, Chris. But to be honest, it's a fairly even spread among the bottom teams there, and even not too far off the middle grounds. Again, record-wise, the scoring kind of follows. Obviously, all of the bottom 4 teams there, the 4 lowest, only have 4 wins between you. On the other side of the 3 highest, obviously, have 10 wins between them. So all checks out. In terms of points against, but as you kind of mentioned, bucking the trend, leading that nearly 600 points, 598.8 points, which through 5 weeks, what's that? That's about 120 points a week, isn't it? Yeah, basically 120 points a week. So
it's historically high.
That's tough to beat, especially when you're not necessarily scoring a great deal either. Ross's team as well, understandably, they've conceded over 500 as well, 533. Understandably 1 and 4 as well. But yeah, Mike's not had the rub of the green there, because he's obviously scored less, but has that win. Viv and my team though, with the next 2, so Viv's the only other one over 500 with 508, but he's 3 and 2, so that's what scoring 523 will do for you. Same with my team, is basically the similar thing. Chris, you have been a bit unfortunate as well. You're not too far off us at 496, and your scoring, okay, is obviously beneath it, but again, you're 1 and 4, so you have been scored on a bunch as well. We go to the bottom of the table. You Are Gold do finally drop their first game. They still haven't conceded 400 points on the year, which I think brings them on. Yeah, they're averaging under 80 points against still. So same for Pat, by the way. They're both 4 and 1, but Pat scored a bit more, and then a few other more fortunate teams there, obviously with the lower points against, but it's a bit of a mixed bag in terms of record. In terms of breakdown, I am still at the top of this one with an 83 week last week, so I'm 41 and 14 through the season. Badetne slips down a bit after a 2 and 9 week last week at 35 and 20, and then you can see there's quite a few teams there hot on the heels after that. Turning to the bottom, Ross is 14 and 41, yet has the win, whereas Mike doesn't, despite Mike not being too bad at 23 and 32, so Mike has been quite unlucky. You're also at 23 and 32, Chris. Tom is at 22 and 33, but he is 2 and 3, so has been a bit more lucky than the teams around in there. And then we see some teams like You Are Gold, 25 and 30 in the breakdown through the year, 4 and 1. So,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're going to get found out eventually.
Absolutely. In terms of coach score, I still lead up the category here as well. After I actually had some bench points the previous week, I've gone back to my elite ways so far this season, only leaving 2 points on the bench, 25 points through the start of the season. Not too far off as Mike in 37, and then you can see the middle ground. There's some points, but it's not too bad a score. We will turn to the bottom though. Chris, you are absolutely allergic to scoring points.
Absolutely.
As we just saw, your overall point score it isn't terrible, but it's in the lower category, and that's definitely because it's been on your bench and not because your team isn't good.
No, it's how injured they get. And people doing freak stuff.
Yeah. Quarterback has not been your friend in terms of that. Great Scott's obviously near in the second to bottom there as well. After obviously leaving Achan on the bench for a few weeks, so he doesn't have that to worry about anymore because he played him and now he's injured. So the score dropped right back down. Pat Stan, despite having that 122 point week, could have had even more, 34 points on the bench last week overall, and quite the drop off from there to the dream team. Put that all together, the true ranking. So we've got my team at the top here. I think I obviously currently hold the points forward wildcard as it stands today. Then you've got the 2 of the division winners in Badetne's and Pat Stan, division leaders that is. Benecestes would be the current traditional wildcard, I think. And they're in the next position. Let's see. Let's check that out. Is that a correct statement? Yeah. No. You Are Gold is the current next traditional wildcard because he's 4 and 1. So he's obviously punching above the true ranking a bit there as he is in 6th, but not too much so. But kind of everything is more or less as you would expect it there at the moment. No one on the trade block at the moment. Check out the power rankings when they land. I'll be writing those again this week. So with all of that, all the news is done. So we will mosey on into debate corner. John, where are you, John?
Order.
He's over there.
Yeah, thank you, John. He's getting the Chinese takeaway order, and that me and Becky will be getting after we're done podcasting. So he's looking at that menu as we speak. But before he started looking at the menu, he did give us the topic of the week, which is, as I said in the standing section, there is only one team with a 0 in a column now. Other than tied because no one's tied. And that team is Bucking the Trend, Mike. And the topic for this week is simple. It's when will Bucking the Trend win a game this season? If he wins a game this season, what week will it be? We'll bring up the schedule so we can show you. Bucking the Trend here, he plays against you this week, Chris. Then he plays Ross in week 7. He obviously does share a division with Ross, who plays him again in week 13. Tom starts week 8, but then is week 9. You Are Gold. Week 10, week 11 is Ixan. Week 12 is me. Week 14 is Pat Stan. So that is the schedule for Mike.
Yeah, I think this is a good run for him. Playing my team, which is very much on the ropes. Then playing Ross's team, which is pretty bad. I know it has some punchy players in there, but it's generally speaking a beatable team. Tom's, who's a beatable team, is just a complete Jekyll and Hyde team. So the next 3 weeks are really going to be pivotal for Mike because I think that he's got some teams on the ropes, and then later on in the season, he has You Are Gold week 10. Well, who knows what powers he'll be under at that point, and then week 13 against Ross again. So I think there's still it's still salvageable for Mike. We've seen him put up 85, 90, 95 points and get beaten, absolutely trashed by 100 point plus scores.
Yeah.
I can't see the next 3 teams putting 100 points past him. So yeah, it could be 3 in a row and then it just turns the season around.
Yep. No, you absolutely could be. Yeah, it's Obviously, Bedetnet is suffering with injuries in the bye week, so they still have to bring him back. And obviously, my team, I've dropped a couple of 3 and 2 as well. In terms of when I think it's going to happen, I don't think it's going to happen against you this week, Chris, because I think your team is good. It's just been somewhat unfortunate as well, and obviously the bench points. Yeah. But I think week 7, you circle the diary there and think, that's probably the one against Ross that he gets that first win. The monkey gets off the back. Obviously, we'll see when we do the previews next week what team he has. But yeah, I think it probably comes, like you say, sooner rather than later. If not, he's got another shot against Ross in week 13, which is probably the next.
Good time. Good time to be playing. Teams like Ross's team, Tom's team, Ollie's team, who are all a little bit banged up, especially through bye weeks. Yeah. And you are gold who's got no depth. So indeed. Like it.
So with that, then we will move on to the week 6 preview. So we go back out. We stay out of the division. This week, and on the docket we have Gridiron Gang versus Pakistan, Bucking the Trend versus Forge Flyers, which we can no longer call the Gold Star Bowl, of course, because you've left, but I will just colloquially call it the Logistics Bowl.
Logistics Bowl is fine,
Logistics Bowl, as you're still both in the industry. We have Great Scott against Tom's Tyrants, the Dream Team against UO Gold, Bare Necessities against Badetnes, which is a Fountain Bowl, and the Corona Bowl 1 rematch, and then we have Ixan against Avatarel. Where would you like to go for the marquee matchup this week, Chris?
Well, I would like to go for Gridiron Gang versus Pakistan because I think it's going to be absolutely box office.
There you go. Here it is then. Marquee matchup for week 6. Gridiron Gang takes on Pakistan here in Week 6 marquee matchup. League leading Pakistan, I believe they are the number 1 seed. I didn't cover the signs, but I'm pretty sure they are. Take on Gridiron Gang, who are the most high-scoring team so far. 3 and 2, looking to keep up in the Winchester division. Projections have this one going to Pakistan, however, 96-90. The Gridiron Gang already has 10 points on the board. Let's see what's going on. Isaiah Pacheco scored 10 points in the Thursday night game last night. And at the moment, Michael Wilson comes into the lineup in favour of Tank Dell, who may miss the game with a concussion. So Gridiron Gang is going with the 30 personnel at the moment, 3 running backs and 2 wide receivers. On the other side of the board for Pakistan, still sticking with Jared Goff, I believe. And then other lineup-wise, Zach Moss comes into the lineup, as does Kenneth Walker off of bye, sending Zay Flowers and Justin Jefferson, who's obviously now on IR, the hamstring injury, to the bench. So he is going with 30 personnel this week, 3 running backs, 2 receivers. The history of this matchup all time, Gridiron Gang is 9 and 2 against Pakistan.
Well, so the odds are firmly in your favour, are they not?
Well, history is in my favour, but if we listen to Ben in the draft video, history means nothing.
Well,
yeah, he might be right in this one. To be
fair,
he
may be right in this one. Look at all those away fixtures. Now, I've got some hang up with away fixtures in the NFL because it is just about travel. It's not like you get on a coach and go around the corner, is it? You've actually got to get on a plane, go there, and
I know that was an extreme case in the London game last week, but I think we saw that with the Bills quite steeply. I think it showed that the Jags team were in London for a second week versus a team that I think flew over on the Thursday. And like you say, in America it's not quite as far, but there's still a relative good amount of travel involved.
Well, that's right. And say we look at some distances. Seattle to Cincinnati, not around the corner. New Orleans to Houston's not too bad, I suppose, and Chicago to Minnesota's not too bad either. But Detroit to Tampa, there we go. Let's talk about that first of all.
And the climate change.
And playing outside and all that sort of thing. Now, Jared Goff's been, he's been relatively used to playing in warm conditions. Obviously, he played there in Los Angeles, but the Tampa D's been sneaky all right. And I always think that Detroit look a little bit less effective, shall we say, when they're away from home.
Well, that's a Jared Goff thing. He loves home.
Yeah, he loves just home. Can't go wrong when he's just a homebody. Yeah. Well, so watch out for that. DJ Moore at home against Minnesota. I think this week that Minnesota are obviously banged up. They haven't been starting well. Chicago are just all over the place, but they just decided to throw the chair at everybody. And DJ Moore's the beneficiary of that. We see Olave and Kamara against Houston. Well, we saw last week that the Texans are very good offensively. Defensively, they're okay, but I still think they're a beatable team, and especially now when they've got a dual threat like Kamara. I think that's an exciting offense to be part of. We don't know what's going to happen with Zach Moss against the Jags. We don't know what his usage is going to be. If it's anything like last week, then great. But you'd like to think they're going to bring Jonathan Taylor in with all that money they're paying him. And they're not just paying him for that, just for Zach Moss to go and score touchdowns. And Kenneth Walker coming back from bye. Always see running backs coming off the bye, nice and fresh. They're playing the Bengals, who are, they've had a topsy-turvy year.
They've been pretty stout on defense. Offense hasn't been there, but the defense has.
Yeah, but you'd like to fashion a lot of the stuff's going to go through Walker.
He's been solid. He's been a little bit touchdown bust, but he's been getting lots of touchdowns. So that's fine.
It's the best possible way.
Yeah.
So then we look to the other side and talk about touchdown or bust. That's it. David Montgomery and Christian McCaffrey over there.
Yep.
Definitely touchdown machines this year. Look at those guys. I think at this point they're matchup proof. I really do. And then you look at Waddle and Wilson. Well, it's Wilson's certainly a bit of a dice throw. I think
it is, but that's because obviously Deshaun Watson saying it would have been Amari Cooper. It would have been a tough matchup. But so I've got Jameson Williams, Jackson Smith and Jigba and Tank. That was probably obviously going to miss the game, so it's kind of the other option. I don't know. Maybe I'll look through the Rolodex of the free agency and see if there's something else there. But equally, Mike Wilson had a few blow-up games, so I thought, screw it, why not?
Why not? Go for it.
I did it with Tank Dell a few weeks ago and it worked.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You're dead right there. And then Waddle, say again, up and down depending on what Hill gets. And we saw Josh Allen, I think, will be better at home, especially against the Giants. Daniel Jones isn't playing.
I didn't say that in the recap because he obviously didn't really show up. He got 32 points for me last week, and that was probably about the worst Bills game you'll ever watch, and he still ended up with 32 points. He is crazy how good it is.
From a fantasy perspective, not just that, I say in real life as well, he's fantastic. But they're going to see a lot of offense there. I don't think he's going to it will take a lot for him to score a lot of points. Defensively, we see Dolphins playing Carolina. Well, Carolina are pretty trash on offense, and then the Ravens playing Tennessee in London.
I have an interesting comment on that. Do you know when the Titans flew over this week?
I have absolutely no idea.
Because the Ravens flew over on Thursday, and just on the back of just what we're saying, I don't like it.
No.
And if the Titans came earlier,
well, they've been all right, So they've against the run, which the Ravens like to do. There's not their strength. The Titans are all right, especially playing in a very strange environment here in the UK. Could be a bit of a leveler. Look, I can't bet against the team that's got Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey in it. At the moment, I think David Montgomery will come good. Those two receivers, if they have a semblance of decency and that defense is all right. Plus, the Cowboys kicker seems to be going well this year as well. So
the former MLS reserve player, the former
there he
soccer
is.
player. Yes.
So yeah. On the other side, I mean, if Jared Goff tanks, then that's a problem. But there's still question marks over Moss. I think there's still question marks over Derek Carr, to be quite honest, as well. I think Lave's a bit touchdown or bust.
I think the Patriots made him look a lot better than he is, and he's still not fully healthy.
No, so I think even last week where you have a little bit of adversity, I think you'll probably still get by this, but it's going to be a bit of a barnstorm in this one.
Yeah, no, I agree. Pat had a great week last week, but there is some things you look at. I mean, Digimon was obviously a large part of that. It's so dependent on what Fields turns up. So dependent. I think that he's saying to the coordinator, let's get more of the ball more. And he's right. But, if the defense just keys in on more, which they should do.
Yep.
What's going to happen? The Bears are going to turn back into a pumpkin. Sorry. Goff, like you said, away from home, fairly tough matchup, different climate. Yeah, we'll see what we get from Olave and Kamara and that Saints team. Moss, again, it's such a coin flip. Walker, I like. It's a fairly stout rundy, though he's not a Ronald Buxton. Pat's team is great. You could definitely have a blow-up game. But you can also see, you can kind of look at both ways this week. You could have a blow-up game, or you could have an anemic game, or somewhere in between, which is probably the most likely outcome. But we'll see. On my side of the ball, like you say, some solid players. Allen, the receivers, who knows what I'm going to get from them. And McCaffrey and Montgomery, they do have a tougher matchups, but like you say, I'm kind of at the point where they're both matchup proof as well. Obviously, Cleveland don't have Deshaun Watson, so they should just walk all over them. Dolphins against Carolina should be an absolute lull fest, hopefully. So I am going to pick Pat just because his team has been so solid, and like I say, the receivers are a bit sketchy for me. Pacheco had an okay day on Thursday, but it wasn't a groundbreaking day. So, but I completely agree with you. It's a real coin flip game here. So, and I don't think I don't get to see any of my players. The temptation just to pick up Odell Beckham or something and play him just to watch him.
It's tempting.
I don't know.
I still may.
Oh, you could as well. So there you go. That's what we picked for that one then. So we'll go on to our next game then. It's the Logistics Bowl next. Bucking the trend against Forge Flyers. One win between these two teams, and the owner of that win is Forge Flyers. But Bucking the Trend is projected to get their first win of the season here, 86 to 85. Looking down the lineups for Bucking the Trend, so Chris Godwin comes back into the lineup from bye. Saquon Barkley back in the lineup, hopefully back from that ankle injury. Dropping Josh Reynolds and Michael Pittman to the bench, so he's going with 20 personnel, 2 running backs and 3 wide receivers. On the other side of the board, Kirk Cousins comes in at quarterback for the injured Anthony Richardson, who is now on IR. Elsewhere, you have also brought DJ Chark into the lineup in favour of Michael Thomas.
Yes, Romeo Dobbs. Romeo Dobbs. Off on the bye.
Any other changes? I don't think
Ramondre Stevenson is in for Damian Pierce as well.
There you go. Thank you. So you are going with the 20 personnel as well, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers. The history of this matchup all time, Forge Flyers are 3-2 against Bucking the Trend. And just before I let you go through this game, I forgot to do the injury update of the other game. So Tank Dell, is missing practice today with a concussion, so almost certainly won't play. Keontae Ingram, neck injury. I think he's been limited, so he could play. Keaton Mitchell on IR. He's questionable with a shoulder injury as well, so potentially could be activated. And for Pat, no new injury news that's relevant to this game. Over to you then, Chris, for your game.
Yeah. So here we go. So this is the absolute dice roll again. So we're going to go for it. So Cousins comes in against Chicago. I think that if there's a team to beat up on this year, it's probably going to be Chicago, to be honest. They've got something to prove. They think they can win the game. I don't think that they've got a run game that's functional. I think Cousins have to throw a lot, and it could be a bit back and forward. So that's why he's in. Receiver-wise, Ridley and Ayuk have been relatively solid. Obviously, what you alluded to the fact that San Francisco is going to see an awful lot of offense against the Browns on Sunday. So Ayuk hopefully should benefit from that, with Ridley against the Colts as well. So that's always a bit of a ding dong divisional matchup there. Derrick Henry in London. Derrick Henry in London. I get to see him. Oh,
I enjoyed seeing Josh Allen last week, so you're going to enjoy seeing him.
I'm going to have a great time seeing him. And I hope he runs in a few. DJ Chark brought him in. DJ Chark is a weird one. I had him a few years ago when he was playing for the Jags. Yeah. And he definitely shows flashes of brilliance. He's played for Carolina. He's been a bit up and down in terms of yardage, but touchdowns, he's there. So in hope, what is going to be, you'd like to think, a bit of an offense-heavy game there. Let's bring him in.
Well, they're going to be chasing points, that's for sure.
They sure are. So you've got to go to someone who can, like DJ Chark, so you're not going to be reliant on Thielen, are you? When you're down and you're having to stretch the field. Stevenson comes in against Vegas. So if there's one game that the Patriots might do all right in, it's against the carbon copy of their own offense. And then the Cowboys D back in. This thing against the Chargers. The banged up Chargers. Let's see how the Cowboys do. Hopefully better than the last time they were in California, where they got absolutely turned over. On the other side, Tua fashions to do well, but again, the run game's absolutely killing him. And then we see Hopkins, Smith, and Godwin, who are totally up and down. We saw Hopkins have a really good week last week, and in London it's again a weird environment, as you say, but Tennessee's pass offense hasn't been great this year. But there are some signs that it's turning the corner. Smith against the Jets, obviously don't like that. Against the Jets D is still pretty legit. And Godwin, well, you never know what you're going to get there. You just don't.
I think Mike Evans won't be playing. I don't think he's been practicing still.
Even so,
injury, but you still don't know.
Even so, if Barkley doesn't play against the Bills, then you're into a world of pain on the bench for Mike, and then. Jacobs against New England, if there's one defense that's going to get beat up at the minute, it's that one. Eagles playing the Jets as well, and he's nice. I wouldn't be surprised if Mike wins the game, to be honest. Say my team's been so up and down in terms of general scoring. It requires touchdowns for me, which hasn't been the tonic. Whilst for Mike, he has put sneaky good numbers up. He just keeps getting beat by 100 points or more. I think that's what. Is forgotten about all this. Yep. I will make a caveat on this. If Barkley doesn't play, and he's got to bring in KG Osborne after spending $40 on him, especially with Cousins on the other side. But even so, that only reinforces my point that he's probably going to win the game and get his first get his first win of the year.
Yep. No, I'm picking bucking the trend in this one as well. Less so about. I think Mike's team set up. I don't know. I think Mike's team set up pretty well this week. Tiba's gonna have a boom week at some point. By the way, the Titans flew over on Thursday as well, so they're both going to be jet lagged, so that shouldn't be an impact. Hopkins could feast on that Baltimore secondary because a lot of teams have done this season. He had a really good game last week against the Colts. Demarcus Smith, he's been quite quiet last week, but the Eagles are doing this weird thing where they're just rotating whoever has all of the production and nobody else gets it, and he's been a bit quiet for a few weeks, so I wonder if the needle comes back to him like it did earlier in the season here. Chris Godwin, I think not having Evans will probably actually help, but like you say, he's probably not one to have a boom game, but it at least helps the floor. Barkley, if he plays, like I said, that Bills defense is trash. It is in Buffalo though, so that maybe helps a bit, and he might not be fully healthy, and Daniel Jones isn't playing either, but Josh Jacobs. Do you remember the Patriots Vegas game last year? Do you remember that?
I don't recall it.
It was the one where Jacoby Myers decided to go and play for the Raiders before he officially signed for them.
I do remember that one. Yeah,
that's when the Patriots were, seemingly better with Matt Patricia as OC.
Well, who knew?
And now we see the Patriots of. I have no confidence in the Patriots anymore.
No,
I'm enjoying the carnage, to be quite honest. Like I said before, I've been very spoiled, so I'm just kind of enjoying whatever it comes. It's kind of enjoying watching an absolute garbage fire. So
and it is. It's blowing up and starting again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That could be a good one for Mike, and then you've already said it, Eagles against the Jets. For your team, I could see you having a good week, but I could also see the opposite. It's just like Pat's team, it's a harder one to call. So on that basis, it's a bit of an easier pick for me to pick Mike's team this week. Injury-wise, Barkley, he's questionable at the moment. Could come back from the ankle injury that's kept him sidelined. No other injury news in this game. So we'll go on to the next game then. If I could actually play a jingle. There we go. Great Scott take on Tom's Tyrants here. These two are looking to have a battle, 3-2 and 2-3, and the projections see Great Scott picking up his third win on the trot, 94-91. Looking down the lineups, let's see here. Matthew Stafford stays in the lineup. Amon Morris St. Bam returns to the starting lineup, and Dante Foreman comes in, as does Rashad White coming back from bye. So that drops all of Devon Achane. And I can't even remember who else he was playing last week. They may have already been dropped to the bench potentially. So he is going with 30 personnel, 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers. On the other side of the board for Tom's Tyrants, let's see here. They look pretty unchanged in my eyes so far. I believe they are. So still going with the 20 personnel, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, but would not be surprised to see Tom make a couple of changes here and there. Come the weekend, the history of this matchup all time. Actually, sorry, I'm being an idiot. There is none because this is the first time Tom Starnes has played Great Scott. So Chris, well, Jekyll and Hyde. What side of Great Scott do we get this week?
Absolutely. Well, both the teams are similar. I mean, I have to say, they're quite a good comp for one another. But I do think the Great Scott is the one on the up here. Obviously, we saw Stafford come in and he's been pretty solid at quarterback. But it's that Chase, St. Brown, and Mostert there that sort of makes or breaks the week. I don't like the Jets D against Philly. I know that I just said that
he's been very loyal to them all season.
He certainly has. But I say if there's the matchup, it's probably not going to be that one. And Rashad White comes in as well, which is, that's
from the bye. Yeah,
indeed. So, but again, as soon as they come. But yeah, look at that. It's a real sandwich. 21 to start with, 3, 5, 7, and then 18. But they were playing Denver, so
they are better at home. But it's still the Eagles. So,
it's tough. And then you've got that wildcard player Foreman in there, and he might be great. I mean, so we've seen him.
If Roshan sits this week, presumably he'll get all the work.
We've seen him be a pretty functional running back in the past. Obviously,
even last year for the Panthers.
Panthers, Titans before that, so he was okay. Then you look on the other side, and Burrow had his best week for some time, which definitely propelled Tom onwards. But outside of that, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, say you'd like to think that Thielen's probably going to be there for yardage again. Say Garrett Wilson with that quarterback versus that defense, probably not. Say this could be the game that Cup takes off. But yeah, Cook, Robinson, Colts D against the Jags, just a little bit like, nah.
He probably will bring Keenan Allen in. I'm going to hazard a guess he's not checked his lineup yet.
But even then, Keenan Allen, I know that Dallas haven't got, they haven't got star corners, and they've got a little bit banged up, but they are still a decent outfit. I mean, a highly decent outfit. Sure. But Keenan Allen's obviously one of the best, if not the best receiver in the league.
Kellen Moore revenge game as well. He's going to cook up a game plan there.
For sure. He knows. He knows what's going on. So, yeah, I mean, what would you do? I'd probably bring Garrett Wilson out of that team, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And bring Allen into that, possibly.
Yeah.
So, say Thielen, Allen, and Cup, that's a decent receiving core. But yeah, I don't know. I think that Great Scott, we've seen enough over the last 2-3 weeks to know what they have got as a ceiling, and I think that they are going to be difficult to beat again this week. But Tom, I think it'd be a better week for Tom, especially if all three receivers that he can play will be fit and ready to go.
Yeah, no, I think Great Scott win for this week for me as well. Chris, I don't really have too much more to add. I think both teams, I could easily see both these teams winning. So yeah, but I'm just going to lean Great Scott. He does have Chase as well, so he nets off Burrow. But if Burrow has a bad game, Chase can still have a good game. So there's that kind of element going on there as well. So there are a lot of injuries for Jeff Tim. We'll cover the injuries. So obviously, Khalil Herbert doubtful with the ankle injury. Jahmyr Gibbs questioned with the hamstring. He could come back. Probably isn't going to get into the lineup. Even if he does, though, Achan is not on the official reserve for Jeff yet because he's waiting for Jeff Wilson to be activated from IR to obviously swap those two around. But Jeff Wilson should be back from his rib injury and his stint on the IR as well. And then clean bill of health, at least injury report wise, for Tom's Tyrants. So we'll go on to our next game then. The Dream Team take on UR Gold here in Week 6. Both these teams, two of the better teams so far this year, at least record-wise. UR Gold 4-1, fresh off their first loss in the Dream Team 3-2, currently leading the Portsmouth division. Looking at the projections, Dream Team was projected to win this one, adding another loss to UR Gold's column. Let's take a look at the lineups. Justin Herbert back in at quarterback for Jordan Love, who goes to the waivers. For the Dream Team. In the rest of the lineup, Gabe Davis comes into the starting lineup in favour of Terry McLaurin, so he is going with the 20 personnel this week, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers. On the other side of the board for your Gold, he's listening. Chris, Justin Fields is in the lineup for CJ Stroud, who obviously went to free agency. Lineup wise, Steve K. Metcalf returns to the lineup, and I think Jordan Addison does as well. I'm not exactly sure who's being sent to the bench or the waiver wire. James Conner is one of them. So he is going with the 11 personnel. 1 running back, a tight end, and 3 wide receivers. The history of this matchup all time, the Dream Team are 6-2 against UR Gold.
Well, it's a quarterback off here, isn't it? Fields versus Herbert. But outside of that, you look at that, UR Gold questionable banged up on 4 players. And all 4 of those guys, so they're contributors, aren't they? Let's be honest, they're all contributors. AJ Brown's going to get followed around like no one's business as well. By Sauce Gardner, absolutely, in that Philly Jets game. So yeah, Metcalf's got, I think it's a difficult matchup against Cincinnati, so they've been pretty good on defense. So then you look there, Chargers, Tampa, and then Chicago for Addison. Well, say Chargers and Tampa they've been pretty difficult, especially away from home as well. That's some travel time. And so having done Los Angeles to Dallas earlier on in the year, it's a sneaky long way. It's a sneaky long way from Los Angeles to Dallas. So that's difficult. But Addison's going to be number 1 guy, so we'll see if that can really show through. Lions D against Tampa as well. I think that'd be a better week. And we're going to see Nick Folk again in London. So, yeah, absolutely. He's been automatic this year, so good for him. But on the other side, you cannot look past the quality of Viv's team. Look at this. Herbert playing Dallas, yes, I know it's a difficult matchup. But beyond that, Hill versus Carolina, I like it. CD against the Chargers, no, not so much there. But after that, Davis against the Giants, love it. Etienne against the Colts, love it. Breece Hall coming off a big week, so may not be able to pass the ball effectively. Well, let's put it in his hands and let's go. 49ers against Cleveland with a secondary QB.
It's probably going to be the one.
It's going to be a bit of a bit of a demolition job, I think, there. So there's no question for me. This is the dream team all day long. I'm locking the dream team as well, Nath. Here we go. It cannot be anything else other than a win for him this week.
Oh yeah, I'm following you down the through the door because I'm also locking.
There we go.
So we're going with the Lock Bros this week because no, I see the same thing. I kind of said it last week and I said it in the recap. I think this team punched it a little bit last week. There is quality in the team, but he obviously had a very benefit from a really big week from both Etienne and Hall. Obviously, Hill blew up, but he's going to do that. But he was without Justin Herbert. He's back. Etienne and Hall aren't going to be as flashy every game, but they could certainly have a good game here. And as you say, there's enough behind that for me to like them. Whereas on the other side, yeah, again, it's injury. It's not necessarily too inspiring as well. Pod's sneaky not been great. Laporta, I'm not sure if he's even going to play. I think he suffered like a calf injury in practice this week. Addison, we don't know what he's going to look like as the alpha or the receiver one. Metcalf, the Bengals D has been pretty good. So yeah, I think you are gold. Maybe the magic is shining off once you get that 1L. They can sometimes come flooding. So yeah, I'm going with the dream team here as well. Injury wise, Roshan Johnson is questionable with a concussion. I've not really actually seen the reports on whether he'll potentially be back or not, so definitely want to check on Sunday. If you are gold, Metcalf still dealing with a rib injury, but he'll play. Pollard, I think, has a shoulder injury, but should be fine. As I said, Laporta, that calf injury, definitely want to watch. Addison, I'm not exactly sure what his is, but I think he should be okay for the game. So that's that. So we'll go on to the penultimate game of the week then. Bare Necessities takes off on Bananas here in week 6. Bananas fresh off their first loss of the season, projected to get another one, as Bare Necessities are projected to win 103-87. They've got 17 points on the board as well, courtesy of Harrison Butker, who was quite busy on Thursday night. Lineup-wise, they look pretty unchanged to my eyes, so they are going with the 30 personnel, 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers. For the detonators, I think Justice Hill comes back into the lineup potentially. Or actually no, they may be unchanged at the moment, so he is rolling with the 30 personnel as well. 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers. The history of this matchup all time, Bare Necessities are 7-10 against the detonators. And my dad gets to see Lamar Jackson in the flesh as well.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Now, how effective he's going to be?
And Gus Edwards. And Gus Edwards.
Yeah. How effective they will really be, who knows? But yeah, it's again weird environment. Tennessee's run defense is good. They've come off a pretty budget week last week. They didn't really do anything. I think Lamar is so up and down. Like I expect him to be like absolute box office this year, but yeah, he's been a real mixed bag. I think Debo against Cleveland's got all the makings of a good matchup. Same as Puka, same as Mixon. There's a trend here, and same as Bijan, all against I think beatable teams, beatable defenses. And then the Bills playing the Giants. I know they're pretty banged up, but that should be pretty hilarious.
They've got like I said, Daniel Jones isn't playing, so it'll be Tyrod Taylor. Understand that?
That's right. So yeah. On the other side, Bananas have what we would think is a full-strength team for them. We talked about Philly not being able to go through the air quite as much. I think Hurts and Swift will capitalise on that for sure. Then you look at Adams and Collins, who Adams is playing a very beatable New England secondary, and Collins has been fantastic all year. Yes, he's playing New Orleans, and yes, he's going to come up against.
Well, he's been shut down.
We're going to come against Marshall Lattimore, isn't he? So who shut down many a receiver. So I think that that's definitely on shaky ground. But then after that, Justice Hill, who really knows, and Kyron Williams again. If they've got this receiving core, this mighty receiving core,
they are not. He fills a role for them. They like him fulfilling that role, but they know he's not an especially talented player.
Absolutely,
it's all been about the opportunity for him, and like you said, with getting cut back, they're just going to pass it more.
Absolutely. So I'm not expecting to see him going forward. It's going to be quite as much. And then the Commanders playing Atlanta. Well, I think they're going to get run over.
They just got smoked by the Bears at home, so
yeah. So I've got no confidence in their defense at all. So Bare Necessities, I think it is for me. I think he's got one of the more well-rounded teams that the league's got. Ollie's going to have to rely a lot on Swift and Hurts and Adams to be able to get a result out of this. It could well be a very Justin Tuckery type game as well for Baltimore in London, so we could be seeing a lot of kicks, but that's not going to get him across the line here, I don't think.
No.
Not on the other side, it's just so much more talent in depth.
Yeah, no, I'm going with bare necessities as well. While there is more talent and depth of bare necessities, that I don't think that the world beater category. They've got some nice guys, but it's not. It's not a lot of really elite players, really. It's a lot of good kind of role player guys that will put them all together, and it's a solid team. It's not great, but like you say, I kind of feel like that's probably going to be enough to beat Ollie at the moment. When Ollie's at full strength and the matchups are in his favour, he's definitely got a team to watch out for, but I don't think that's it this week. Adams, he could blow up. How healthy is he, though? I don't know. He didn't do much in the revenge game against Green Bay.
Do you trust the quarterback?
Yeah. Well, no, I think Jimmy G's fine. He got Jacoby Myers cooking. If he can do that, he can get Devante Adams cooking. Nico Collins, I firmly believe he's going to get shut down by Marshall Lattimore, and like you say, after that it's a bit Smith could be good, but then who knows with the rest. So yeah, I think there's enough reliable options for my dad's team, and obviously if Lamar has a good day, I think it'll probably be a good night based on that alone. Injury wise, let's see, Marquise Brown, he's questionable. I think he should be good to go. Elijah Mitchell, he wasn't practicing as of most of the week, so not too important, but I think I'll probably miss this one as well. Adams will play, obviously played last week, we don't know how healthy he is, and Cole Kmet questionable as well, but I think he should be good to go. So we'll go on to the last game of the week now. Ixan take on Avatarel here in the final game of Week 6. Both these teams coming off a win, which isn't something they can have said too much this season. Projected to win is Ixan, 88-83. Both have points on the board as well, 19 to 12, 19 courtesy of Mahomes and the 12 courtesy of Kelsey. Looking down the lineup from Ixan, Mike Evans is back in off of bye. And I think Christian Kirk and Austin Eckler will come into the lineup as well, which means Christian Watson, who goes on to bye, drops to the bench, as does Courtland Sutton and Jaleel McLaughlin as well. So Ben is going with the 20 personnel this week. 2 running backs, 3 receivers on the other side of the board for Ross's team. Lineup-wise, I think T. Higgins is back in the lineup in favour of Jonathan Taylor. I think beyond that he's unchanged, so he's going with the 3 personnel again, 3 tight ends and 2 wide receivers. The history of this match up all time, Ben is 7-5 against Ross's team.
Yep, this might be the easiest one of the lot for me this week, Nath. If Kelsey's already played, it's one of the big playmakers of that team, and as is Mahomes, but at the same time, there's guys you just can't trust in there. Patriots D somehow still there. Evan Ingram's been a bit up and down. I know he's got looks, but how effective he really is, I don't know. Dak Prescott's still in there, and we've seen him not being particularly effective this year. Yep. There's just a lot of players that are a bit blur. They have to have a big day from Diggs and Andrews, particularly, I think, to be able to have a chance of winning this one. So on the other side, Ben's got, although I think a subpar possibly point score from Mahomes. You've still got guys who can contribute. Christian Kirk's been good. Eckler comes back in, big playmaker. Myers, as you said earlier on, has been excellent in a fill-in role. Saints D against Houston. Well, say CJ Stroud's got to run out of steam at some point. I know he's been particularly efficient, but there's one game that's going to all fall apart for a rookie, surely, and then Mattison comes in. Well, again, which it's got to be trending towards a lot of offense. So. For me, it's not going to be pretty, but I think Ben's probably going to win the game, and relatively comfortably, I think.
Yeah, no, I think it's a Ben win for me as well. Yeah, I can't really see a credible scenario where Ross puts up too much of a fight in this one.
Justice for George Kittle on the bench there for Ross.
Yeah. That's the problem with Kittle. He'll either have 3 touchdowns or 3 yards. There is literally no in between. I'm not sure if Higgins is going to be back. Same with Evans. I'm not sure if he's going to be back, but And yeah, Ben actually doesn't have a lot of options past that, considering the Thursday night game would just be Dallas Goddard, which I'm not especially in love with, but no, I'm not going to read too much into it. I don't think it matters. Getting Eckler back is going to be huge for Ben. One of the key pieces, he obviously wanted back, so yeah, we don't need to delve too much deeper. Injury-wise, yeah, Evans definitely wanted to check with the hamstring. Higgins as well wanted to check with the ribs, but he could well be back this week, and that is it in terms... Oh, and Deshaun Watson's already been ruled out with the shoulder problem he's got. So that is it for the previews, and that brings us to the end of the show. So yeah, it's going to be a good one this weekend, isn't it, Chris?
I am very much looking forward to it. It's going to be brassic. It's going to be really cold at Tottenham, but it'll be exciting nonetheless.
Definitely. So enjoy the game if you're going to be watching. Have a good weekend. Best of luck in your matchups, unless you're playing me, of course. Goodbye.